You are here right now because there is something your soul was prepared to hear. Something that did not simply cross your path by accident or random coincidence. There are moments in life when everything around us becomes quiet, when the heart slows down and starts searching for answers that the outside world cannot offer. In those silent spaces where your deepest truth exists and where your intuition speaks freely, you have already sensed something important. You may have tried to ignore it, question it, or persuade yourself that it was not real. But somewhere deep within you, you already understand that there is a reason you are experiencing this feeling. This is one of those rare and meaningful moments. What you are about to discover is not merely another collection of words or a message that disappears the moment you hear it. This is a powerful reflection of the emotions, questions, and quiet wishes you have carried inside yourself for many days, perhaps even for many weeks. It connects with the thoughts you have kept private, the feelings you have struggled to put into words, and the questions you have silently asked the universe when no one else was listening. Today, you are arriving at the exact place where your deepest inner knowing begins to meet the reality you have been hoping to understand for such a long time. There is a reason your heart continues returning to this person. There is a reason their presence feels different from anyone else you have known before. Even when distance appears, even when circumstances become confusing, even when your mind tries to create logical explanations, something within you continues recognizing a connection that feels unusual and powerful. I know you have experienced a bond that seems to go beyond ordinary understanding. It is not simply about attraction, temporary emotions, or an ordinary connection that slowly disappears with time. There is something about this person that has reached a deeper part of you. If you want to discover the hidden truth about what this person may truly feel for you, take a moment and allow yourself to remain open to this message. You have already felt that invisible pull, that quiet magnetic energy that keeps bringing your thoughts back to them again and again. There have been moments when you questioned everything. During your most vulnerable moments, you may have wondered whether this connection was simply an illusion created by your own heart. You may have thought that perhaps you were holding on to a dream because you did not want to feel alone. Maybe you convinced yourself that you were imagining the signs, creating meanings where there were none, or believing in something that could never become real. But today, understand this clearly. The emotions you have experienced are not meaningless. The love you have felt, the powerful sensation that moves through you whenever you think about this person, and the strange familiarity you experience, as though you have known them for much longer than this lifetime, are not simply random thoughts. They are experiences that have touched your heart in a way that ordinary connections usually do not. That feeling of recognizing someone before truly knowing them, that unusual comfort you experience around them, and that inner voice telling you there is something deeper happening, is not something you should immediately dismiss. There have been moments, patterns and signs appearing throughout your journey. These signs may have been subtle, and perhaps you were afraid to fully accept them because accepting them would also mean opening yourself to the possibility of being hurt. Today, you are going to understand why this person may hold such an important place in your heart, even if their current behavior does not always reveal what you hope to see. Sometimes actions become difficult to understand. Sometimes someone's silence, distance, or hesitation creates questions that seem impossible to answer. But when you begin looking beyond the surface, you may discover that not every feeling is communicated through words or obvious actions. Your doubts can slowly begin to fade when you recognize the deeper truth within yourself. It does not matter if recently you have felt pressure in your heart, uncertainty in your thoughts, or sadness because this person has become quieter, more distant, or less expressive. These moments can hurt, but they do not always mean the end of something meaningful. Sometimes silence carries a message of its own. Sometimes distance creates space for reflection, healing, and understanding. When two people share a powerful emotional connection, the feeling between them can continue to exist, even when communication becomes limited. The heart often recognizes certain things before the mind has enough evidence to accept them. That is why you are still here. A part of you was searching for confirmation, not from empty promises or simple human opinions, but from something that feels connected to your own inner world. You were looking for a message that speaks to the feelings you have struggled to explain, something that connects with that quiet voice inside you. There are emotions in life that cannot always be examined through logic alone. Some experiences are not meant to be solved only through the mind. They are meant to be understood through awareness, reflection, and emotional depth. What you are feeling right now is not something you should immediately label as weakness or confusion. It is an experience inviting you to look more deeply into yourself. You may have been afraid that your emotions were simply anxiety, or that you were holding on to something that was not real. But sometimes, a meaningful connection challenges us because it brings hidden parts of ourselves into the light. It reveals old fears, forgotten wounds, and insecurities that may have been waiting to be healed. This is the beginning of a deeper understanding between two people who have affected one another in a powerful way. There is something your heart wants you to remember today. Your doubts do not always come from a lack of love. Many times, they come from old experiences that taught you to protect yourself. When someone enters your life carrying an energy that feels different, someone whose presence touches something deep inside you, old emotional defenses can begin to rise. Your heart may recognize something beautiful, while your mind immediately searches for reasons to remain protected. The soul may sense connection, while the mind remembers pain. This is why you may have spent countless nights thinking about this person, asking yourself whether the feelings are mutual, whether the connection is real, or whether you are simply creating a story because you want it to be true. These questions are natural when something matters deeply to you. But remember, the strongest connections can also create the greatest inner transformation. They force you to face yourself, your fears, and the beliefs you have carried for years. A silence that feels heavier than the words, "I love you," can sometimes reveal more than any confession ever could. It does not always appear through grand gestures or dramatic promises. Instead, it may reveal itself through small and unexpected actions, through moments of hesitation, through quiet expressions that seem ordinary on the surface, but carry a powerful emotional depth underneath. It is a kind of love that has not yet found the courage to fully speak, but it continues revealing itself through the way someone looks at you, the way they treat you, and the way their energy changes whenever you are near. Type yes if you are ready to discover the undeniable signs that can reveal when this love is truly real, and when someone's heart has already made an internal choice, even if their words have not arrived yet. Today, life wants you to understand something important. This person may not be as uncertain about their feelings for you as you believe. The person who has been questioning everything is you. Not because you are weak, not because you lack understanding, and not because you are incapable of recognizing love. It is because this connection entered your life during a period when you were still learning how to become emotionally stable, how to trust yourself, and how to stand firmly within your own heart. The intensity of this connection frightened you because it reached places inside you that you had protected for a very long time. When someone carrying the energy of genuine love enters your world, they do not necessarily arrive to destroy your peace. They can awaken something within you. They can bring attention to parts of yourself that have remained hidden, guide you back toward yourself, and challenge the limits you created around love, vulnerability, and emotional connection. This inner transformation can feel confusing. It can feel overwhelming. At times, it may even feel like fear. But you must understand that this fear is not necessarily created because love is absent. Sometimes it appears because something powerful is entering your life, something that the older version of yourself does not yet know how to handle. True love has a way of exposing everything that still needs healing. It brings your insecurities to the surface. It reveals your doubts. It shows you the places where you still have room to grow. And although this process can feel uncomfortable, it is not automatically a sign that something is wrong. Often, it can be a sign that something meaningful is taking place within you. This person sees you in a way that feels different. Even when they are far away, there is a kindness in their energy that they cannot completely conceal. There is a natural respect, a quiet admiration, and a softness that can appear when the heart has already made an internal choice. Their feelings may not always be communicated through words, but their actions, their attention, and their presence can carry a message that words sometimes fail to deliver. Some connections are not announced loudly. Some of the deepest emotions exist quietly before they ever become visible. I know there was a moment, perhaps recently, when you believed this person was leaving your life forever. You may have looked at their silence and assumed it meant they no longer cared. You may have interpreted their distance as evidence that the connection was disappearing. You may have convinced yourself that the feelings were fading and that you were holding on to something that no longer existed. But the universe did not bring you to this moment simply to repeat another unfinished story. It did not guide you through these emotions only to leave you with another disappointment or another wound. When a connection carries a deeper purpose, it does not necessarily disappear simply because confusion appears. It does not automatically collapse because of temporary silence. It does not vanish because of unanswered messages, difficult circumstances, or periods when both people are trying to understand what they genuinely feel. What is meant to transform you can remain connected to you even through periods of uncertainty, even through emotional storms, even through moments when your human mind begins questioning everything. So why do you feel so much confusion if this connection is truly meaningful? Why can something that feels beautiful also create so much uncertainty? Because real love is not here to keep you exactly the same. Real love comes into your life to transform you. It arrives to clear away illusions, challenge old beliefs, and teach you patience, trust, surrender, and faith in something that cannot always be seen immediately. The chaos you experience is not necessarily a sign that you are losing something. Sometimes chaos is the beginning of growth. Sometimes it is proof that an older version of yourself is falling apart, so that a stronger, wiser, and more genuine version of you can rise. There are certain parts of yourself that you are being called to release. The fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, the fear that you are not enough, and the fear that something beautiful will eventually disappear. And one day, when the silence finally comes to an end and the distance starts to fade, you will look back on this chapter and realize that every uncertain moment was preparing you for a deeper experience of love than you had ever imagined. You will understand that the waiting, the confusion, and the emotional struggles were not meant to punish you. They were meant to shape you. They were teaching you how to accept love without fear, and how to recognize something meaningful without constantly demanding proof. The answer you have been searching for does not exist entirely outside of you. It is not found only in another person's actions or words. The answer exists within the quiet struggle taking place inside you right now. The struggle between your logical mind and your deepest inner knowing. If you are willing to listen with an open heart, you will slowly understand why you feel uncertain, even though something deep within your soul already senses the truth. The reason for this confusion leads to one of humanity's oldest inner conflicts. It is the ongoing battle between the limited thoughts of the ego and the boundless wisdom of your true self. Your mind wants evidence. Your mind wants certainty. Your mind wants guarantees before it gives itself permission to believe. But your deeper self understands that some connections cannot be measured only through physical signs or immediate outcomes. This inner chaos, this feeling that perhaps you are imagining everything, happens because your mind is encountering something it cannot completely control or explain. And yet, despite every doubt, despite every question, despite every moment when you tell yourself that you should move forward, something inside you keeps returning to the same feeling. Something continues to recognize this person. Something continues to feel connected. Something continues to remind you that this experience does not fit within the old patterns of love you have known before. Your ego is the part of you shaped by past experiences, old wounds, fears, and survival instincts. Its purpose is to protect you. It follows one basic mission: keep you away from anything that could cause you pain. When this connection entered your life, your ego immediately became alert. It noticed something powerful, something unfamiliar, something emotionally intense, and it interpreted that intensity as a possible danger. Why? Because genuine love requires openness. It requires vulnerability. It asks you to remove the walls you built after being hurt. It asks you to become emotionally honest and allow yourself to be fully seen. And your ego, carrying memories of previous pain, begins to warn you. Be careful. Do not trust too quickly. Do not become attached. Do not open your heart because you could be hurt again. It tells you that something this beautiful must eventually disappear. It tells you to protect yourself before you lose control. But from this point forward, you must learn to recognize the difference between these two voices inside you: the anxious and fearful voice of the ego, and the calm and steady voice of your intuition. The doubts created by your ego always feel urgent. They feel heavy. They produce panic and emotional exhaustion. They appear through the urge to constantly check your phone. They appear through the need to look for signs, messages, and reassurance so that you can finally feel safe. The ego tells you that if they do not contact you immediately, they do not care. It tells you that if they do not express themselves exactly as you want them to, they must be losing interest. It creates stories based on fear and persuades you that uncertainty automatically means rejection. But the voice of your intuition and the wisdom of your soul feels completely different. It feels peaceful. It feels stable. It feels like a quiet understanding that remains present, even when the outside world seems confusing. Even when your mind tells you that this person is gone, there remains a gentle feeling within your heart, saying that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the process, because this calmness beneath the storm can be one of the clearest signs that what you feel is connected to something deeper. When you experience this inner peace, you begin to understand that perhaps you are not creating an illusion. You are not simply pursuing a fantasy. You are connecting with something that feels meaningful and genuine. This inner battle is the reason you have questioned the connection so many times. Look more deeply into your emotional history. If you have experienced betrayal, rejection, or abandonment in the past, your ego may attempt to protect you by placing those old fears onto your current situation. It assumes that because someone else hurt you, this person will eventually hurt you in the same way. It believes that because love once brought pain, love itself must always come with suffering. But the truth is, you are not only questioning their feelings, you are also questioning your own ability to receive a love this powerful without losing yourself. And that is the lesson waiting for you. This connection has appeared in your life not only because of another person, but because of what it is awakening within you. The universe has placed you before this powerful emotional experience so that you can finally face the deepest fears you have carried for years and discover that you are capable of experiencing love without allowing fear to control you. What you are experiencing is not simply here to bring you love. It has arrived to take you beyond the familiar boundaries of your comfort zone, to challenge your limits, and to make you reconsider everything you once believed about love, connection, and your own worth. This love has entered your life to awaken a deeper level of awareness, where you no longer settle for small moments of attention or incomplete affection, but instead learn to recognize and accept the complete love and respect that your soul truly deserves. Every time your ego tries to create distance, doubt, or confusion within this connection, it may actually be presenting you with an opportunity to heal something from your past. Every old wound, every hidden insecurity, and every fear that rises to the surface is not necessarily appearing to destroy the bond. It is appearing so that it can be acknowledged and transformed. When fear and uncertainty begin to emerge, it does not automatically mean that love is disappearing. It may mean that an old emotional pain is finally coming forward so that it can be understood, released, and healed. If you respond with panic and allow fear to control your actions, you continue feeding that same energy. But when you remain centered and recognize that it is simply an old fear attempting to protect you, you begin to take away its influence over your heart. This connection can become like a powerful source of light, clearing emotional heaviness, lifting your energy, and preparing you to receive something deeper. Always remember that no matter how many times you attempt to walk away, no matter how strongly you convince yourself that you should release this connection, there can still be something within you that keeps bringing your thoughts back to this person. This force is not necessarily a form of attachment or a chain keeping you trapped. It can feel like a shared energy, a deep emotional vibration, and a connection between two souls that were meant to cross paths during this lifetime. It carries a strength that is not always easy to explain. Even when your logical mind tries to deny it or your ego attempts to resist it, the connection can remain like an unseen magnet, quietly reminding you of something familiar, something that feels strangely like home. But one question still remains. If both souls feel this connection so strongly, and if this bond appears to be so powerful, then why does the other person sometimes become silent, distant, or withdrawn? Why would someone who feels so deeply sometimes create space instead of moving closer? The answer can be found within the powerful emotional energy that develops when two intense souls encounter one another. You must understand that this person is not only your partner or someone you love. They can also become one of your greatest reflections. Their presence has awakened parts of you that still need healing. They have brought attention to emotions, fears, and wounds that may have remained hidden for years. But just as you have been influenced and transformed by this connection, they may also have been shaken in their own way. This bond reaches into some of the deepest and most vulnerable places within both people. It touches areas where old pain, past disappointments, and unresolved emotions still remain. For the human mind that constantly seeks certainty, control, and safety, such a powerful connection can feel overwhelming. The intensity can become frightening because it forces someone to confront parts of themselves that they may have avoided for a very long time. This is why their distance should not always be interpreted as rejection or a lack of love. Sometimes distance can be a form of self-protection, a way of trying to process the powerful emotions that your presence has awakened within them. In these kinds of connections, people often describe the pattern as the runner and the chaser. The runner is usually the person who appears to pull away, but they may not necessarily be running away from you. They may be running away from their own emotions, their own fears, and the depth of what they are experiencing. They step backward because the intensity of the connection feels too powerful, creating fears that they may not be enough, that they could damage something precious, or that they might lose control over their own identity. This reaction often comes from deeper wounds: the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, or the fear of becoming vulnerable once again. These are the wounds that may have created a silent promise within them that they would never again allow themselves to fall into a love powerful enough to break them. Their heart may desire closeness, while their fears tell them to create distance. That is why silence does not always mean an absence of care. Sometimes silence is simply a pause, a moment in which someone attempts to organize the emotional storm taking place inside them because of what this connection has awakened. Your role in this dynamic is often the one who feels the urge to move closer. Sometimes this happens not only through your actions, but also through your energy and emotions. When you sense distance, your ego may become frightened. You may feel the need to reach out, explain yourself, repair the situation, or prove how deeply you care. However, this cycle of chasing and running can create even more separation rather than bringing two people closer together. The more one person pushes for connection, the more the other person may feel the need to create space. The more you chase, the stronger their desire to escape may become.